Israel. She's an Israeli working professional. She's in Jerusalem right now. So, Mindy, first of all, I hope you and your family are safe and sound and together, and there is no harm that's come your way.
Thank you. Thank you very much for hosting me on this media platform. And yes, thank God we are well, safe and sound so far, and I hope it continues that way.
Mindy, you're living in Jerusalem. If you could shed more light into what the current situation is, have things calmed down, and obviously IDF making sure that all civilians are safe in shelters.
Certainly in my immediate vicinity, it seems that everyone is safe in their shelters. The newer buildings put up in Jerusalem have individual safe rooms in each apartment. Older buildings have a general bomb shelter, and we are located right next to a park. So our building's bomb shelter, an older building, when when there were sirens that sounded on Monday, during the course of the day, several times, all of the parents and children in the park ended up in our bomb shelter, which was the closest bomb shelter for everyone. And so thank God everybody made it in time. And yes, so we do have a sense of safety and security.
Obviously, it must be extremely scary when those, air missiles and airstrikes hit various parts of southern Israel. What was the situation in Jerusalem like? Also, were there a lot of terrorists in Jerusalem who were massacring people?
I think as soon as anyone becomes aware of a siren that is sounded, whether it is in your immediate vicinity or you hear about it, that it's happening elsewhere in Israel. And I will just stop and say that if anyone is listening to the radio, all radio broadcasts are interrupted to announce a siren that is being sounded in whatever part of Israel it's being sounded, so everyone becomes aware of it. There are, the Home Front Command has an app that will always inform you, if you've downloaded it, where the siren is. And so I think there is this very strong sense of identity, fear, worry, every time a siren is sounded someplace, because of course, until any damage is reported on or any injuries, we never know. But everyone here is living under the possibility that yes, a rocket can be fired to wherever you are living, and that places every single citizen of the state of Israel in danger.
Mindy, how does it feel like constantly living under the fear of a bomb attack, of a suicide attack taking place in, it could be in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, any part of Israel, really?
Absolutely. I think like any threat, one can't think about it all the time because then it becomes paralyzing. On the other hand, it is very much a part of our daily reality, certainly in these days during wartime, and it's never far. It is never far from anybody's mindset. And just keep in mind, I don't have small children anymore, but keep in mind that every young child is also living under this threat and fear. And every single parent of young children, and even older children, has to deal with the trauma and the fear that is ever present.
It's commendable, the resilience of Israelis, the resilience of Jews, right from the time of the pogroms 1,000 years ago, and then the Holocaust, which was a huge genocide of the maximum number of population of the Jews. And now, we see this terrorist attack that has killed over 1,000 people, civilians, and sometimes does it feel that this fight is never ending, and if there is an end at last, a goal post that you can reach?
Well, I think if nothing else, this attack, certainly this horrific terrorist attack, certainly emphasizes the fact that Jews, anti-Semitism and attacks against Jews, this represents the longest hatred of any group anywhere in all of history. I think it is a never-ending hatred. I certainly don't have any sense of how this hatred could possibly end, but it is something that, yes, it repeats itself historically in different places at different times. And I think the public at large, the world at large, is deluding itself if they think that this is a thing of the past. It isn't. It is very much a part of our present. And when you hear stories about the slaughter and the horrific methods, the killing and the torture and beheading children and beheading women, and the extent of the slaughter, this is very much alive and well.
Mindy, you know, I've spoken to a lot of Israelis through my medium, through our news channel, and they are mostly, you know, when they come, they're mostly the younger ones. And speaking to you, you look much more composed. It also shows the years of experience that you have with these kind of attacks. So obviously the people like you, the older generation, do you stand as a foundation for the younger generation to fall back to in such times of distress and turmoil?
Well, a few things I just want to say in response to your question. First of all, I so far, thank God, have not experienced anything personally, any terrorist attack personally, so I cannot speak from that sense of experience. The longer that we are here in Israel, the closer I shouldn't say that, the wider the circle becomes, the more people you know and you encounter, so that when a terrorist attack does happen, the chances of your knowing the people who were attacked or the soldiers that were killed or the people who were injured becomes much greater. I would like to think that in many Israeli families and in many places where families have, in fact, experienced this horror, that the older generation can be a voice of wisdom. But I will also emphasize that the younger generation brings a level of energy and commitment to the notion of never quitting, never saying that we are done, that's it, we are finished. Their commitment to the eternal nature of the Jewish people and to the notion of always putting one foot in front of the other in many cases is as inspirational coming from the young towards everyone else. And I'll just give you one other example of that's happening all over Israel in every single place. As you may know, all educational institutions are shut, which leaves millions of children with no daily framework. So for the smaller children, of course, that involves keeping them busy in some kind of constructive way. But for the hundreds of thousands of teenagers who have nothing to do, volunteerism has taken on a whole other aspect during these last 4 days of war. Everyone, and I stress everyone, is not just teenagers, adults too, is looking for a way to volunteer, to help.
Yes.
Whether it's collecting things and sending them down south where the destruction is at its worst, sending things to soldiers, monetary donations, going from bomb shelter to bomb shelter in various cities to make sure that they're clean and they're prepared. I just got a notice about an organization called Yad Sarah that lends medical equipment, and they have tons and tons of equipment and no one to fix it. And calling on volunteers for people to come and help them donate a few hours of their time and keep all of their equipment in running order. And so I think this sense of falling back on experience as yes, and the wisdom of the older generation, yes, is very much a part, but it works in the opposite way, as in the opposite direction, as well as we, the older generation, take inspiration and strength from our youth, which is our greatest treasure.
Absolutely.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.